Okay, so we've talked about parallelograms and the tests for parallelograms. Okay, and now the author is going to go into rectangles. Okay, and some of this is just stating stuff that you already know about a rectangle. Okay, and the author puts it in theorem form. Theorem 6.13 says and use the symbol for parallelogram. If a parallelogram is a rectangle, then the diagonals are congruent. And think about that. If you have a rectangle, okay, if it's a parallelogram that is a rectangle, okay, then the diagonals, this diagonal has to be congruent to this diagonal. Okay. If I said all rectangles are parallelograms, true or false? All rectangles are parallelograms. That one's true. If I turn it around and say all parallelograms are rectangles, that's false, because they don't all have 90-degree angles. Okay, so you have to be careful when you do the true-false type test. Okay, if a quadrilateral, remember, if it's a quadrilateral, it's got four sides. If a quadrilateral is a rectangle, then there's several things that are true. Okay, number one, the opposite sides are congruent and parallel, and just use the symbol for parallel. Opposite sides of a rectangle are congruent and parallel. Okay, opposite angles are congruent. In a rectangle, they would actually all be congruent because they'd all be 90. Oops, I left out the word angle. Opposite angles are congruent. Third thing, consecutive angles. Okay, consecutive angles are supplementary. Okay, and remember, if they are supplementary, they add up to 180. Okay, supplementary angles add up to 180. Okay. The fourth thing, if a quadrilateral is a rectangle, the diagonals, and we set it up above, the diagonals are congruent and bisect each other. They are congruent and they bisect each other. And the fifth thing that's true, if it's a rectangle, all four angles are right angles. Okay. Then the author goes through theorem 6.14 that says if the diagonals of a parallelogram, just use the symbol for parallelogram. If the diagonals of a parallelogram are congruent, then the parallelogram is a rectangle. Okay? Okay? Okay, and that's basically it.